Welcome back, Katem fans. Today's video, I'm going to do a, short little talk about my 2021 KTM 690 SMC-R. When I bought the bike, and when I called about the insurance quote, I had different years that I was quoted. On my bill of sale, it says it's a 22. My insurance tells me it's a 21. The internet tells me it's a 22, but the one thing I did check was that sticker right there, and I ran the VIN numbers, and it's a 21. Not a big deal. The difference between a 21 and a 22 690 SMC-R is just the year. They're the identical bike. Nothing's changed. Anyway, enough jibber jabber. So far, since I've got this bike, I have that's 253k on this tank, 2161.8 kilometers since I got it, and 41.3 hours total runtime. This is my daily commuter scooter, so that's why you don't see too many videos of this, because it's kind of boring, just me riding around the street. I don't do any hooligan stuff with this bike, because I ride this bike, I would say 5-6 days a week, sometimes more. Anyway, I absolutely love this bike. I have zero complaints, except for they sound like a bag of marbles, or a can of marbles when they're idling, but that's normal KTM engine sound. That's just the way they are. I took it in for its first service. They say 1000k, but I changed my oil and I didn't get it in until about 1500k. They checked the bike out, everything registered 100%, no leaks, zero problems. Every time I push that start button, she fires up, she's ready to go. I absolutely love this bike. This is my first street bike, dedicated street bike, because, well, the tires and the suspension, this is the super moto version, so I just ride the street with it. I absolutely love riding street. This bike is just fantastic. Mind you, it's the only street bike I can compare to, because it's the only street bike I've ever had, and I've only ever ridden one, maybe two street bikes, so I can only compare this to my 500. I know, apples and oranges. The difference I feel between the two bikes is the 500, absolute hooligan bike, hands down. It has the low end power and the low end gearing for doing, well, you've watched my videos before. This bike, however, has a different feel to it. It feels very similar because of the style bike it is. It looks like a dirt bike with street tires. No arguing that. But it feels heavier and more planted to the ground, which you kind of want on a street bike, because you don't want to be blowing around all the streets and on the highways and stuff. Oh, here's a scuff mark. But yeah, I absolutely love this bike. I would highly recommend it to not a beginner, because there's a bit too much grunt and bottom end to it. But for intermediate, if you want to move up to like a second street bike, say, this bike is fantastic. Now let's talk about the goodies. From 2019 and up, they have more electronics in them. This one's got the ABS on it, and it's got the map switch. I have map 1, map 2, and traction control off, which is like a third map where it's full blow power and the engine doesn't hold back at all. Because I ride this on the street, I don't do too much hooligan stuff. I ride map 1, which means you can only accelerate so fast before the throttle body electronically closes, because this is a fly-by-wire. There's no actual cable from here to the throttle body. It's all electronic. There's a little variac in there. I don't notice a difference in riding between electronic throttle and my 500, which is dual cable like a dirt bike. I don't notice the difference at all. Some people can tell the difference, so be it. Anyway, map 1 is your street map. If you're accelerating too quick, it'll actually close the throttle body and hold you back. So I can get to about here maybe on a wheelie, and then the throttle body shuts right down and just drops the front end. Map 2 You have a little more acceleration to it, and you can get the front end up to about here, and then she cuts you down. And when I say cuts you down, I mean it cuts the throttle snap, like right now. You cannot loop it on map 1 or 2. I've tried. First day I had the bike, I went out for a rip with a buddy. I was trying to wheelie. I thought maybe it was running out of gas. I couldn't figure out why. I was on the wrong map switch. I always leave it on map 1 because I just find there's no need to do the other 2 maps for what I'm using this bike for. Map 3, I tried it once. I tried all the maps, and map 3, there's no holding back on the throttle body. Once you give her one of these, the accelerator, she lifts. First gear, second gear, and it pulls like a bull, let's just say. But because it's heavier, it doesn't lift the front end as much as my 500, but that's fine. The ABS, I've never turned it off. I don't see the point. There's been times when you have to panic stop. You can feel the ABS kicking in. You don't hear it like you would in a car, but you feel it on the rear brake pedal, a little on the front, but I'm mostly on the rear. Maybe I'm using the rear brake more often, or more so than the front. But that's what this second cable is for, and what this is for. That's your ABS, or your anti-lock, I guess you could call it. Front's got the same thing. Use a second little hose for your return, and right there. Now the braking power on this bike is phenomenal. Mind you, I'm only comparing it to my 500 on knobbies. When I switch between the 2 bikes, I got to be careful because there's no anti-lock on the 500, and those knobbies are sketchy to begin with. This brake, or this bike, with the great big Brembo brake discs, how the size is that? Then you come over here and look at the front disc. I think it's a 32 millimeter, which is just over 12 inches. Yeah, it's huge. And with these street tires, the only time I'm afraid of braking is if I run into gravel, but that's any street bike or any bike. And I've had that rear brake twitch on me because I've hit gravel. Not so much accelerating, but on braking. Oh, that reminds me. Not only does this bike, when you're on map 1 and 2, cut you down throttle this way, it actually, this way as well, when you're in a lean, it will limit how much throttle you put in. I'm not an expert rider, I'm not a track rider. If you look at my tires here, I still got my chicken strips. I don't know if you can see that. This side here, I lay it down a bit more because turning on the off ramps, I don't know if you can tell the difference or not. Like I said, I don't ride this bike too hard. See, still chicken strips there, chicken strips here. I don't do any burnouts, so my rubber is still good. Unfortunately, I had to go through some gravel roads, that's why the white. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this bike. I absolutely love it. I can't see giving up this bike any reason. I can't see changing bikes for any reason. I'm not into the cruisers, as you know. I'm not into the sport bikes. Nothing against them. It's just not for me. I'm used to riding dirt bikes. This feels just like a big old dirt bike with bottom end grunt and top end grunt. But it feels different than my 500. But I have no problem switching back and forth from bike to bike. You know what bike you're on. As soon as you give the throttle a twist, you can tell a big difference. As for upgrades, I'm running bone stock. I haven't changed a thing to it. I do plan on getting an aftermarket exhaust because this runs superly hot. Look at the size of that little exhaust. It's pathetic. But I know why they do it. They're kind of happy for emissions. But I do plan on different exhausts. Undecided on which one. I'm leaning toward a wings slip-on. I'm not going to go full header because I don't need optimum power like I wanted on my 500. I do plan on running a fuel programmer and maybe changing the intake, but that's not going to be for a couple of years down the road. The warranty on this is like 2 years or something, so I don't want to upset my warranty. So I'm going to wait until my warranty is up. What else was I going to say? That's probably about it. Oh, being a street bike, I'm used to riding dirt bikes. Obviously, they get dirty, lots of maintenance. This bike, after I wash it with a hose, just hose it down, wipe it down with a chamois or a microfiber cloth, WD-40 the chain like I do my 500, just to keep the rust off. I get a little bit of gunk there, but that's okay. Yeah, that's all I really do. Regular. Oh, the other thing, and 690 owners, beware of this. It's normal for big thumpers, single cylinder thumpers, like the Kawasaki, the big 650 Kawasaki's and the big Hondas. They consume oil. They don't burn it, they eat it. After 1,500 kilometers of highway riding, street riding, no hooligans, or very little hooligan, should say, not none, but very little, the bike consumed 250 milliliters of oil in 1,500 kilometers. And I asked a KTM mechanic who just came back from the KTM school, saying that's a known issue. It's not a warranty problem. It's just the nature of the beast. So beware of that. They say you can go after your first service 10,000 kilometers on an oil change. I won't put 10,000 K on in a season, so I'm just going to do it seasonally. Keep an eye on the oil levels. Make sure that you're not running low. I don't know if I can get a video of this here. Yep. That's about it there. Oil level. Got just over 1,000 K on this oil change. Anyway, thanks for watching. I really appreciate all you guys out in YouTube land, and ladies, if there are any. Any comments or questions, I always get back as soon as I can. Let me know what you think, what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong.